Corley Moore coming at you. Wanted to talk very briefly before the scrap starts tonight. And if you know me, you know that I love the vigilantes. I love the like-minded souls, and I'm always looking for ways that we can have more interaction. One of the things that every vigilante says when they join is they're looking to connect with those like-minded souls. They're looking to connect with other vigilantes and people who feel the way they feel. And so I'm constantly looking for ways to make that happen. So far, I love Patreon. I love Patreon for bringing us together, but it hasn't created that the ability to share information and things the way I wanted. But one thing we did discover was that Discord is integrated into Patreon. So we've been working for the last couple weeks to launch a Discord server where the vigilantes can get together and hang out. Now, I'll be the first person to say I am not a tech guru. I'm much better at forcing doors and hook and sealing. I'm better at destroying stuff than I am at using technology. But that being said, Discord has so many options that look like they could be phenomenal for the vigilantes and for our growth and for the fellowship and the camaraderie that we want to share. It's got chat rooms that you can post in, separated by category, where we can have great discussions. It's got voice channels you can jump in and have voice discussions with people at the drop of a hat without needing to start a Zoom call or anything. You just drop in and drop out. You can share screens. We have plans. People have plans to share classes that they've built so they can get feedback before they go and teach those classes. I mean, there's so much that could be used for this Discord server, and we're just scratching the surface. So get in, come be a part of it, man. It looks to be an incredible platform. And if you want to be a part of it, head over to patreon.com/thevigilantes. Become a part, man. If you're not a vigilante, why not? $5 a month. You can't even afford a fancy coffee nowadays for $5. So $5 a month, you're a member of the like-minded souls. So come be a part. Looking forward to seeing and talking to you in the Discord. Stay safe.
In the demanding world of firefighting, training against real-world scenarios is crucial. Yet traditional training facilities often fall short in providing realistic, versatile, and cost-effective training solutions. Affordable Drill Towers presents a groundbreaking solution. By positioning an affordable drill tower alongside your existing Connex boxes burn buildings, a realm of realistic, multi-level training scenarios is unlocked. This integration has been adopted successfully by various fire departments, enhancing their training capabilities exponentially. Delve into the heart of live fire training scenarios within the Connex boxes, now amplified by the ADT's multi-floor access, providing an unparalleled training ground.
We started looking at Connex boxes about probably 10 years ago. To me, you can't beat them, especially for the price. The affordable drill tower was the same way. We've got 6 floors, we've got standpipes on every floor, we've got more anchor points than you can count, we've got removable floors, removable stairs. We can go into the 2nd and 3rd floor off the drill tower, so whether you want to use it as an external stairwell or a high rise, we can do all that and mimic just about any type of situation that the members of the fire department might encounter.
Experience cost effectiveness, enhanced realistic training, versatile operations, easy multi-floor access, and innovative solutions to age-old training challenges. Take your fire department's training to the next level with affordable drill towers. Reach out to Affordable Drill Towers to elevate your training capabilities today.
Corley Moore, Firehouse Vigilance. It is weekly scrap number 283. My guest tonight is Frank Viscuso. He is a renowned public speaker, best-selling author, and retired deputy fire chief. Frank is not only served as tour commander in one of New Jersey's most densely populated counties, but also has made significant contributions to leadership and team development across the country. He is the author of 11 published works, about to be 12 and 13, and we're going to talk about that, including the acclaimed Step Up and Lead, Step Up Your Teamwork, and of course, Work with Paul Combs and Sprinkles the Fire Dog series. Frank's ability to motivate and inspire has made him a highly sought-after speaker across the country. Tonight, we are going to delve into his journey, learn about the strategies that have shaped him into the figure that he is today. Hey, it's been a few episodes. Welcome back as the weekly scrap of number 283.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite numbers, Corley. I'm happy to be here, and I must say you look exceptionally handsome tonight.
I Thank you. Thank you. I'm terrible at taking compliments, so I'll say thank you. Anything I missed in the intro? Anything you would like to add?
It's too much of an intro, man. Like you and I have talked about this. My preferred intro is here's some guy, Frank from Jersey, and we're just going to talk about some stuff.
I love it.
Know?
I absolutely love it. We just talked about it like this last weekend about,
Yeah.
Oh, here comes the bio. Audience, get your questions primed and ready for Chief Viscuso and myself. We are going to have some fun this evening, and people are already checking in. There's a lot of talk about all the snow that is everywhere. People are checking in from the frozen tundra of places that aren't usually a frozen wasteland. So I hope we bring you some entertainment and some value tonight as you check in your subarctic temperatures. So let's get to the sponsors. Let's get those out of the way, and let's get to scrapping. When it comes to performance under pressure, you need equipment that won't let you down. That's where American-made Snap-Tight comes in. Built tough for firefighters, Snap-Tight hose is engineered to perform under pressure. Plus, Snap-Tight hoses are easy to deploy and even easier to rely on, with unmatched heat resistance to abrasion and extreme temperatures. The best part, they offer guaranteed shipping and 4-week lead times. Visit snaptighthose.com to learn more or find a distributor near you. Snap-Tight hose, reliable, durable, ready when you are. Affordable Drill Towers, on a mission to bring you cost-effective and versatile training props like the Affordable Bailout Prop, which allows you to practice window bailouts, ladder bailouts, and ladder high-point rescues. They also make the Affordable Standpipe Prop, which you can roll into the classroom for standpipe theory and then roll it into the parking lot and pump realistic flows and pressures. Their mainstay is, of course, the Affordable Drill Tower. It comes in several configurations and standard with the standpipe system. You can choose from 1 or 2 sets of stairs, integrated into your existing Connex towers, or freestanding on a slab. All models are NFPA 1402 compliant and gain you ISO credit. The only thing that you can't do in an Affordable Drill Tower is live fire training. Call Steve at 844-55-TOWER or drop an email to info@affordabledrilltowers.com. Firefighter safety and accountability starts with being able to quickly find and identify individual firefighters operating on the fire ground. Identifier safety combines the best in photoluminescent materials for durable firefighter identification solutions that can glow for up to 20 hours, no switches, no batteries, which means being able to rapidly identify firefighters by name, unit, or assignment, even under hot fire conditions. All specifically designed and tested for the rigors of the job. Be seen, on scene, identifiersafety.com. And then, of course, I love Flame Decon. Get you some and get clean. So there you go. I absolutely, I love the sponsors. Thank you all for making this possible. And the sponsors are done, which means we get to scrap, Frank.
All right, good. Well, thank you. Happy to be here. Thank you, my friend. Let's get going.
One thing I wanted to bring up out the gate, is 13 books. And I know you've got even more cooking, that are in. We've talked about the ones that you may or may not ever release that are back there.
Yeah.
But 13 books. And then lately, I think you just polished off in the last, I don't even want to put a time frame on it, but you just finished 2 more books that are getting ready to hit. Yes?
Yes. And the last 2, and we were talking about this, something kind of shifted, made a couple of quick changes in my life, cleaned up a few things, organized a few things. And, it was January 1st. I made the actual, or actually, I'm sorry, forgive me. It was Christmas Day that I said, you know what, this is a book that I want to write. And it's about time that I actually started. So the next morning I just kind of worked up a chapter outline and started writing. And 11 days later it was finished. And it's very unusual for me because usually takes me about 3 months to write a book. And then I sit on it for a while. Then I go back and it's usually a 6-month process from conception to where I'm ready to show it to somebody. And this was like that 10, 11-day process. And then right after that, I went right into what is considered a follow-up book to that one, which I didn't even anticipate or expect to write. And I just finished that one today. And and believe me, I feel real good about it. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels unfinished. It feels like this is a good time for this. And it's the early stages. I have to reread it, share it with people. I did share it with a lot of my closest friends. I shared some chapters and have about, yourself included. You saw some of it. So I have a few of some feedback and some endorsements for it. But, we'll cross that bridge when we'll get there. Right now, my publisher's taking a look at everything and reviewing it. We're going to have a conversation this week.
Yeah, I can't believe that, man. 11 days and 12 days. So, and the quality is, again, of what I've seen, it's unreal.
It's like I said, it's not normal for me, but I'll tell you, and you and I spoke about this. But here's what happened. A couple things happened. One is first thing that happened was my droid. This sounds complete. A lot of people won't understand this, but enough will understand this. My droid broke. Okay, and when it broke, long and short of it is, my phone just wasn't operating. It wasn't charging. Something was wrong. I'm like, I need a new phone. And I hate change. I have a car that's got 184,000 miles on it, and I don't want to change it. I have this phone that seems like it has more miles than my car. I don't want to change it. I'm a creature of habit. But the droid breaks, and it just so happens that my wife's cousin is married to a guy in the tech industry, and he says, "Hey, look, if you need a phone, try this one." And it's an iPhone. I'm like, I'm a Droid guy. He's like, well, just try it. And so I take it, and now granted, he's let me try it. If I like it, I told him I'm gonna pay for it. But I figured this is a perfect opportunity. So I
Right.
go to the store, and the guy is making a transfer, and he says, "Wait, so you're transferring from the Droid to the iPhone?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I go, "Why? Do you think the Droid's better?" He goes, "I'm not saying one's better, one's not, but it's going to be a difficult transition." I'm thinking, I'm a firefighter. I'm okay with transitions, right? I'm like, "We're going to be good." He says to me, he goes, "Well, just expect it to be tough for 3 days." He was right. It was 3 days of me wanting to throw the phone through the wall, thinking, this is honestly, you know what? Like, I look at it this way. Like, first of all, there's people listening to this going, "I can't believe he sold out." It's like the metal band that comes out with their first power ballot, and
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh, they sold." He went iPhone. I got to tell you, I love the iPhone, but now what happens is, my car, it's on its last legs. You were just in my car, my new one. So I buy a new car. I clean my office. I told you I started taking Alpha Brain. I have no idea if that has anything to do with anything. Well, all of a sudden, like, I have more organization, a couple new things. I'm feeling a little bit better about myself. And for whatever reason, I shift into this level of efficiency I've never been at before. And I said, I'm going to capitalize on it, because I also know there's going to be moments where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sit back, relax, and I just can't find my groove, because I've been there in life, like everybody gets in there. So when I'm here, when things feel right, I'm going to run with it. And that's what
Nice.
happened with these books. A few
Nice.
things, a few things happened where I said, I got momentum, and I know what it's like to not have momentum. So I'm running with it while I have it.
As you analyze and look backwards, is there anything that you're going to try and manufacture in the future to try and get back to this hyper productive state? Or,
I'm going to keep the office clean, that's for sure.
okay,
But I think that, like you probably get this a lot. People come up and they say, "I want to write a book,"
sure.
and they ask you maybe they ask you for advice, or maybe they just want to say, "I want to write a book." I think some people, when they say that, are almost looking for validation for someone like you or me who have written books to say, "Hey, go ahead, do it." You don't need anybody's permission. You can do it. So they know that they're not crazy for having
Sure.
that thought. Um, what I can tell you is this: my advice is just start writing, because I have been writing one book for 3 years now. And that book, I keep saying, I'm close, I'm close, I'm close. And then this one comes in, and that one's like, boom, you're on the shelf. And we knock this out really quick, because all of that little writing I've been doing has just at least been keeping it. It's like working out at the gym, and then all of a sudden somebody says, "Hey, you want to do the Murph challenge?" You're like, "I never did it before. I'll try it." And all of a sudden your muscles say, "Hey, I responded to that. I like that. Let's stick with this for a while." And now you're doing this challenge, this fitness challenge that feels so good. You're trying something different. That's kind of what happens with writing, and really with a lot of things in life. You have to kind of keep your skills sharp. And so, my advice, by the way, if anybody's saying I want to write a book, write every day. It could be for 5 minutes, could be for 15 minutes, could be
Beautiful.
for 2 hours. Write every day. And when you do write, take that phone, whether it's an iPhone or a Droid, and get it out of the way. Don't let it distract you. I'll put it in another room sometimes because it's easy for that thing to draw your attention
Oh yeah.
away from you.
And that's some of the best advice ever. I love that. Like write every day. I don't my whole mantra is 200 words a day. And 200 words is like a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. But if you just sit down and say I'm going to do 200 words, it's kind of like driving to the gym. Driving to the gym is the hard part. The workout's not near as tough as just getting to the gym and setting aside time for it.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's a great analogy.
Robbie Lyle coming at you with the first question from the audience, and he says, "Chief, what is the working titles of those books? If you're willing to share, if it's at that point."
Yeah, I don't know how far I think I should go with that right now. I can tell you that the book features both books. I'm not 100% on the title, but both books are going to feature 35 things. The first one is 35 things every firefighter must know and do. It's going to feature things to help you kick off your career. And honestly, I look at it like it's a blueprint. This is everything that I wish. I've been teaching this class 25 things every probationary firefighter should know and do. Then I expanded it to 25 things every firefighter should know and do. And now it's 35 things. And, because there's just things I've said, I have to add this in there. It's important. But these are things I wish people told me. And it's not just things about training and what you need to know about equipment. It's other things about setting a great impression and the fact that acceptance takes time and how to go about doing things like that. But the next one is the same model, but for officers.
Oof.
And the officer one was really easy to write, much easier, simply because all of my books have really been about leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at it like it's almost like taking notes from every one of my books and packaging it all in one and say, okay, let's talk about critiquing. Let's talk about dealing with insubordination. You take chapter 3 from Step Up and Lead. You take chapter 4 from Step Up Your Teamwork. You take all 8 chapters from Flashpoint, and there's content from all of them expanded into that book. And for me, and all the work that I try to put out is to help every single person who will take the time to read it, is to help them get from where they are to where they want to go. So I believe, and this is one of the things in the book, one of the things is experience is not the best teacher. Other people's experience is the best teacher.
Mm.
Especially in the fire service, we have near miss reports, we have fatality reports, we have podcasts like this where you can learn from people. So why would we think that we should have to go through the whole process of learning how to be a firefighter by ourselves without learning from firefighters that have come before us? So these books are my way of giving back to the fire service, to say, I'm going to tell you what I know. I'm going to tell you what I wish I knew earlier in my career, and what's going to help you from where you are right now to where you want to go. And for me, I feel like just being a part of your journey is what keeps me excited, to kind of play that kind of role, almost like a mentorship role.
No, that's amazing. Yes. No.
But that's what the books are about. Those are working titles, but I feel real good about them. I'm excited.
No, and you should be. And I'm sitting here. I get the benefit of being able to look at the 35 actual things, and we're going to talk about some of them.
Yeah, you have the list.
I have the list in front of me, and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to divert from the topics for a second because Andrew McGinn's coming at you with a question, and I love this question. What gave you the courage to write your first book? And I've kind of heard the story before, but I don't know if we've ever talked about it on a scrap.
Yeah, 9/11. That's the bottom line. I want to clarify what I mean by that. See, where I work in Kearney, you could step out of my firehouse and we see the New York City sky, the skyscrapers, the Manhattan Twin Towers, and I was a guy who grew up with I really had an inferiority complex. I'm an overthinker. I dealt with stress, anxiety, a lot of that stuff. I don't shy away from telling people because I know it can help people to know that I didn't grow up with a tremendous amount of confidence. I grew up very self-conscious, and I let other people's opinions kind of determine my worth. And, when 9/11 occurred, all I can say is I spent a little bit of time over there with some of the other firefighters that I work with, and nothing happened there for me personally, as far as making this transition. But what happened the days after is I just started, I guess, thinking about life and realizing how fragile it is and how quick it could be taken away. And knowing that, so many firefighters had made the ultimate sacrifice and so many innocent people, lost their lives that day. And I thought, you know what? Why am I living this way? Why am I not going after my dream? It could be gone like that. And it's and I'm not from an incident like that. Just I mean, when you experience that, like somebody said when we're over there, this is our generation's Pearl Harbor, and we're here. And I thought, wow, man. And then I just thought, like, let me live my life. Like, let me go after it. And I don't know why, but for some reason, I just thought I'm gonna write a book. I have no idea. Listen, Corley, you know this. I didn't even read books. I mean, not really. But I bought a tape recorder and I went and I interviewed the first firefighter, and the story he said and told me was so powerful because I asked him to tell me about a rescue he made, and he's talking about the rescue. And he was off duty when he made the rescue, but he's talking about the rescue and he's talking about how far he had to push to make this rescue, and how plasters melting, falling on him, and he just wants to keep pushing to find this guy because for 2 years he's been struggling with the guilt, and so he wanted to make. And I'm like, wait, back up. What happened? Like, what, 2 years? What happened 2 years ago? In other words, like, he just threw out a line that made no sense to the story when he's talking to me. And then he proceeded to tell me, like, 2 years ago, he did not make a rescue. He feels that that they found a body in one of the rooms he searched, and he feels that he may have missed that person, and he blamed himself. And for 2 years, he lived with that weight, and he needed to kind of get that off his shoulders and think, no, I should be doing this. I'm, like, I didn't. I can't feel like I didn't do it right. I have to give everything. I have to know that I gave it my all. And he's explaining this, and I'm thinking, that's what I have to try to convey right there, that story. Because that's right there what it's really about. Because I just wanted the story of bravery.
Right,
And what
right.
I got the story was of the vulnerability. And every time I interviewed a firefighter, I was getting those stories. About the one guy that the helicopter's filming him when he's shielding a woman, and on a balcony, that's trying to protect her from the fire. And when the helicopter's filming and they can't get to him and they can't get to the woman, the thought in his mind was, my mother's going to see me die on TV, but I'm not leaving this woman.
Mm.
That story I have to tell. And so what happened was, I'm getting these stories, but the problem is, I'm having a hard time figuring out how to write it. And you know the story. I went to Barnes and Noble, bought a book on how to write a book, because I said, I can't just give up on this. I have to write it. I feel like if you want to make change in your life, you need inspiration or you need desperation, right? One or the other will help you make change in your life. Well, Common Valor was written out of inspiration. I don't know where it came from. I just know I had it. And so, long and short is, I interviewed 20 firefighters, tell their stories to the best of my ability. I had no idea how to get a book published. Nobody was self-publishing back then. Like, what is self-publishing? I don't know anything about it.
Right.
I went back to Barnes and Noble, bought a book on how to get my book published. I sent out sample chapters to 50 agents with a return envelope back, received 46 rejection letters back. And that doesn't mean the other 4 accepted me. I haven't received anything from those other 4 still to this day. And that was 20 years ago.
Right.
So, I was rejected by every agent. And I figured, if I can't get an agent, what does an agent do? I came this far, so now I have to finish this. The stories are too powerful. And so I basically started making phone calls. Fire Engineering Books and they're my publisher today, but they turned me down when I first proposed this to them. They turned me down, and that was all fine. I ended up getting a hold of a gentleman who put me in touch with the guy that ended up publishing my book. and that was it, man. That was. And by the way, I never cared ever about whether or not that book would sell. It wasn't about, hey, this book, is going to do this or that for me. This was more like, this book is my way of proving to myself that I can do something that was so far out of reach, for me just 1 year ago.
Sure.
And now, that's how I've been living my life ever since. And I said this at the seminar. You and I just shared a stage together, which was awesome. And I loved it. I hope we can do it a lot more.
Yes.
It was so fun to teach with you. But, it's like everything in life happens twice, right? The first is when you conceive it, but then it happens when you make it real. And I've been living my whole life by not realizing I don't have to have it all figured out. You listening to this podcast right now, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to know what direction you want to go. And you want to be an officer? Great. You want to write a book? Great. You want to start a business, have a family? Great. Just know what you want to accomplish. And I'm serious when I tell you this, that the world opens up. Curly, I never told this story on a podcast, but I'll tell this. Years and years ago, I made a dream board, right? You heard of dream boards before.
Oh, yeah.
On a dream board, I had 16 things on there. First thing was new shoes. I wanted new shoes. So I'm going to make enough money to get a new pair of shoes. Then I had a new suit. I'll tell you what, those were the first two things. The last two were a brand new car, and it was a Mercedes, and it was a second home, a vacation home. That was all on my dream board. And I got to tell you, I got the new shoes. I got the new suit. I got a few of those other things. And then I got frustrated. I looked at this thing every single day, and I got frustrated, and I just rolled it up and put it in my closet. But I kept working. And about 4 years later, I sold my house. And when I was selling my house, I was cleaning everything out. When I cleaned out the closet, there was my dream board. I opened it up, and I had everything on it. And I thought, it worked. It worked. I put it in my brain. And I mean, a promotion at work was on there. Deputy chief was on there.
Wow.
It all happened. And I looked at that and I thought, the power of what the mind can, what you can conceive, you can achieve. I firmly believe that. And I don't want to, get into the situation where people are like, oh, we're going to go in this direction and think that it's corny. No, this is real stuff right now. If you don't believe it's true or can happen, it won't. But the first step to making something happen is to put it out there somewhere. Like when I told my buddy I'm going to write a book, the next day I wanted to quit. But I also said, well, I already told somebody I'm going to do it.
Yes.
So now I feel like I got to follow through. Otherwise, I'm just that guy that always says he's going to do something and doesn't. So I put things out there a lot. And I, mostly to my wife. She's the one that hears all my crazy ideas, just like I'm sure yours.
Oh, yeah.
Here's your crazy ideas. But from there, you start working. And that was it. I mean, for me, being a deputy chief was a dream. That dream was conceived one day when I was cleaning the chief's office and he wasn't in there. And I sat in his chair in front of the computer, and I sat there and I looked at the computer and I said, I don't really know what this guy does every day, but I think I can be here. I think I could be here. And it's the first time that it's started making me realize, like, maybe this is possible. And you got to be your own fan, man. It's easy to go to watch a Rocky movie and cheer for Rocky, right?
Oh, yeah.
How about we cheer for ourselves the same way?
Wow. Yeah. No, Chief, I love it, man. Thank you for sharing the story, first of all. And then thank you for sharing. Rob Fisher said, Jody, his wife says, speak it into existence, which is what you're talking about. Speaking it into existence.
That's one of my favorite couples on the planet, along with you and your wife, Rob and Jody.
Well, hey, to be included in that is a compliment right there. But speaking of Rob, he has a question for you.
Cool.
He says your books, minus sprinkles, anyway, are primarily focused on leadership or working better as a team. Many of us believe the American Fire Service is facing a leadership crisis. What do you think?
I don't know that I'd say it's a leadership crisis. I do think that what we need to do is we need to keep having this conversation that we're having right now about this, because I just had this conversation with a buddy that I worked with many years ago. I called him up, and by the way, on this topic, if a friend comes to mind that you haven't spoke to in a while, pick up the phone and call that friend.
Nice.
You'll have the best conversations you've ever had. And it's amazing sometimes when you make that call and they say, I can't believe you called me. I was just thinking about you. So I called my buddy and we're talking a little bit. And I said, because he was asking me about traveling and speaking and all. I said, what I'm amazed by is by how many people I speak to that tell me about challenges they have with their leadership. And I said, I just think that there's so many people that are getting promoted and they're not really understanding what their role is. And let me kind of explain what the role is for everybody listening. A buddy of mine he's a two-star general in the Army. Many years ago, he was in charge of our infantry program at Fort Benning, Georgia, when he was a colonel. Thomas Felty is his name. And I like to say Thomas and I fought in many battles together, okay, when we played peewee football, all right? So I asked him one day, I said, do you ever micromanage? Because I hear a lot of micromanaging going on in the fire service, okay? I said, do you ever, you're in charge of the infantry program, right? Do you ever micromanage? And he said, never. I said, never. I said, is it like this, the Army micromanage? And he goes, listen, let me explain something to you, Frank. He goes, do you know what my job is? I said, yeah, you're run the infantry program. He said, no, but do you understand my job? I said, no, I don't. And in short, he basically said his job is to prepare young men and women to kill or be killed, right? So he said, how effective am I going to be at my job if I make their decisions for them or I micromanage them and I don't let them make mistakes and learn? See, we'll train, and we're going to train in something he called ruthless repetitions, where we train in the dark, we train when it's raining, we train when it's cold, we train in hostile environments so they can recognize patterns in these situations, so they're more familiar with the patterns when they see them in the real world. But we will train, they'll make mistakes, we'll learn from it, and we're all in it together. He says, Frank, when's the last time you put out a fire? I said, last week. He goes, yeah, but when's the last time you put out a fire? I said, well, we had a great knockdown last week. And I'm thinking he doesn't understand my.
Sure.
He says, I mean, you personally. He says, where were you when the fire was put out? I said, at the command post. He goes, exactly, same place I would be in battle. He said, you didn't put out the fire. The firefighter with the hose line put out the fire. See, if your firefighters succeed, you succeed. If they fail, you fail. So your job is to prepare them. You serve them. And when he said that, I thought, that's a message I wish everybody can understand and hear. But now it leads to another conversation, because here's where it kind of gets confusing. The question might be, wait, so I work for the firefighter? I'm a deputy chief. I'm a battalion chief. I work for the firefighters? No, you don't work for you work for the chief of the department. You work for the organization, but you serve the firefighters. So you give them the time, the training, the tools, the equipment, the guidance, and the environment where they could succeed. You give them the support. You give them same way you would your own children, but you hold them accountable and to a high standard at the same time. Same way you would your own children, right? But here's what some people are doing wrong, to Rob's point, in leadership. They're only holding people accountable, but they're not giving them the time, the training, the tools, the equipment, the guidance, and the support. You have to, you're there for them. We're a team. And that's why I often say, like, we talk about the kitchen table, right? And I like to mention, if the firehouse was a living, breathing organism, the kitchen table is the heart.
Oh yeah.
And I've heard Mike Turpak say at our station, the kitchen table has no rank. And I love that. It has no rank, meaning you're free to speak the way you want to. At the same time, the kitchen table still needs to have standards. It does. And it's the officer's job to steer that conversation and make sure that that's what you do. So, I'm not, if the conversation's going in the wrong directions, yes, I'm going to speak up, but I'm going to allow them to be themselves at the same time. And I want to have that environment where they know, hey, we're in this together. I want to hear them laugh every day at work. It's very important. I want to hear you laugh. And I've told them that I want to hear you laugh every day. I want to know you're having fun, but we're going to work hard at the same time. So, you know, in some ways, yeah, I can understand the concept of us saying, yeah, we have a leadership crisis. But at the same time, I just think we're just not having the right conversations with the right people, because people are attending your class and people are attending my class and are attending, Chief Lasky and Chief Salka's classes. They're attending these classes. But I'm sure those guys and you and I all hear a lot of the same things. We really wish our chief was here.
Oh yeah.
Really,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We really wish this guy or that guy was here. They're the ones that need to hear
Need
it.
to hear this. Yes.
Right. And at the same time, if you happen to go and speak to a group of chiefs, what they say is we really need our firefighters to hear this.
Yeah.
But really what's happening is everybody needs to hear the message themselves and just fix you. Fix you. Because if we can do that and we understand that, we're one team, one mission. I've dealt with a lot of stress in my life like everybody else for multiple reasons, just like everybody else. The one thing I never wanted to do was create unnecessary stress for the firefighters that I was working with. I wanted to make them feel like we got a chief that has our back. Because there's nothing better than working for, a supervisor, superior officer, if you want to call it, which is a higher ranking officer. There's nothing better than working for a chief officer that is supporting you. And if you're going to hold me to a high standard, good, because I want you to hold me to a high standard. But I also want to know that you care enough about me to pull me aside and say, let me show you the right way to do that. Instead of saying, let me write you up because you're doing it wrong.
Gee, oh, Rob, what a great question. Frank absolutely crushed the answer. Yeah, that was a timestamp for sure. And that's what the chat is saying. 21:35, goosebumps, and not because of the weather. Perfect. Yeah, timestamp, 10-minute timestamp from Sam. Yep. No doubt it keeps getting longer. That's what McGinn said. I love it. Okay, the crowd absolutely goes wild. Robbie Lyle coming at you again. And hey, he was there in Baltimore this last weekend, or in Maryland this last weekend.
Very cool.
He said, and he mentioned that he enjoyed the class, but he said, Chief, and 11 books to choose from with more in the cooker and 2 on the way. But I love this question. What is the best advice you can give an officer trying to rebuild their team? There's lots of retirements and people are moving on to bigger things.
Step 1, set your expectations. You can't do anything unless you know what you want to accomplish. Set your expectations. Matter of fact, right here, these are the 8 steps in a row. By the way, if I don't know if anybody can see this, this is from Flashpoint, the book right here. Here's the 8 steps. This is from. This is really cool. These things were made by Taylor's Tins. They got tins of content from the books. Which are really neat. But number 1 is set your expectations up front. Okay. And I actually took that book one time. My son was getting hitting lessons, and I loved his hitting coach. What a great guy, right? And for the Christmas was coming up, and I brought him a copy of my book, and I brought his daughter a copy of Sprinkles, and he didn't know I wrote books or anything, I just hey, I wrote a couple books and I gave it to him. I never expected him to read Flashpoint, but I figured his daughter would like Sprinkles. And the very next lesson I come in and he goes, thank you for your book. I'm reading your book. He goes, I stopped after the first chapter because I realized, and he coaches a very successful team, right, of college prospects. He says, I realized that I didn't do step 1 with them. And it made me sit back, and I just sat back and said, let me set the expectations. And I wrote down what my goal is. See, I coach a baseball team, and my kids are they're freshmen in high school, most of them. And these are my expectations for coaching for them. The expectations are real simple. I want them to all make their school teams, and I want them to be, key players on those teams. I want them to earn starting spots. But I also want to teach them the work ethic that it's going to take to be successful. So even if they choose 1 year from now to say, I don't want to play baseball anymore, what they learned by being on our team is how to work and separate yourself from the people who are just average, because there's plenty of people in the world that are just okay with being average. You have Nick Saban just talked about this on a clip. I watched him say, if one of his players or a player were to get a C or an A on a test, they might be thinking, well, I can afford to get a C on the next test because then I can get a B and still, have a B average. He goes, but that's how average people think. And he goes, what you want to be is the person that says, no, I want to keep getting A's. He says, but what makes a great coach or a great teacher or a great officer in art is when you can take that person who has a potential and bring that out of them and make them realize why it's important to be that person and stay at that person. In other words, bring the best performance you can out of people and find a way to keep them motivated to continue to want to do and be their best, because it's easy to sit back and especially today. I was happy they banned TikTok for a little bit, right? Because I was like, I get my son's eyes again, you know? And him and I talked about it, my youngest son, I just said, look, I said, social media is great. I love it. But it's dangerous. It's dangerous. If you feel that you cannot put your phone away for 1 hour, and this happens to all of us. I was watching a movie the other day. I picked up my phone 2 or 3 times watching the movie. I picked up my phone and I was checking I don't even know what I was looking at. And I had to keep stopping and rewinding the movie. And by the third time, I said, what am I doing? So I just turned my phone off and put it away because it draws you,
Yes.
right? It draws you. And so, and
Well, it's the limbic hijack. Yeah, man. It's designed
yeah,
to hijack your brain.
it is. And so
it's very good at it.
it is very good at it. So I think what could make us great leaders in the fire service, all of us that are listening to this, is can you be someone to hijack your firefighters' brains to get them focused on what they need to be focused on? And believe me, it's work, because they're getting 30 seconds of all of that stuff from here, 30 seconds of distractions all day long. And it's easy for them to get unfocused and say, well, that's not important to me.
Sure.
We got to have the conversations about why it is important.
No,
and stay focused on those conversations. That's why I love what you're doing here with this podcast, man. You're putting it out there.
Thank you. No, and I get the best guests to come on and talk about the greatest things, so I appreciate you so much. The one thing you said there, which just made me think of this, which I never really, we all know it's true, but like you said, you're watching a movie, something you want to do, and something you're investing your time in, but you find yourself distracted by this thing, and then having to back up so you can make sense of what you wanted to do. And right. And as you said that, I think about how many times I've completely ruined a moment in a relationship or in a conversation, whether it be a vested conversation or just a passing conversation, when I've ruined it because I've been, momentarily distracted and there's no rewind button to catch back up,
Right.
And how many moments have we lost like that? You just made me think of that when you said that.
Gosh, I mean, we were driving through about a year ago. We're driving through Amish country. My kids love going to Amish country. First of all, some of the you want to talk about a great fire service culture. I mean, these guys are really hungry to learn, and I'm grateful because I have a lot of friends up there that they bring me in about once a year to do a conference and bring my kids on a buggy ride. We visited their houses, the schools, farms, everything. It's just awesome. But the first time we went up there, I remember telling my kids, hey, put your phones down and just look out the window, because, it's just beautiful out there and you're going to see a different life. And it was so much fun that when we got in the car and left a couple days later, my youngest cried on the way home. He didn't want to leave. And recently I said to him, all right, we've been to, Disney a couple of times. We've been to Maine. We've been to Orlando. We've been to, California. We've been to a whole bunch of places. And I said, what was your favorite vacation? We were just out in Tennessee. What was your favorite vacation? He says, Amish country. I said, really? Listen, that's the only one I didn't spend $5,000 at. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Like, I spent all this money getting them on planes, bringing them to Disney, getting all these things. But you met Chewbacca.
Right.
But you were happier, taking a ride on the buggy. And he was. They were just great people that made him feel great, because he just, you put down the phone and you look and you experience life. Life's awesome, man. it's awesome, but you got to get out there and live it.
Love it, brother. I absolutely love it. Rob Fisher is coming at you with another question. And we were talking about baseball. I was going to get it in there while we were talking about baseball, but as we do, we continued. But he said, Chief, and I like this question because this could almost be book 14 and 15. But what lessons can the American Fire Service learn from baseball, America's game?
Well, actually, I started working on that. That's one that I chip away. Lessons
Okay.
learned from baseball.
Okay.
There's a number of them. One is control the controllables. Focus on what you can control and don't focus on what you can't. You know, like the play that just happened is over. The end. That's another one. The end of a failed strategy is the beginning of a new strategy. Okay, I just had the perfect pitch, and I fouled it off. That's okay. You got another pitch coming. And if you strike out, guess what? If you strike out twice in a row, which a buddy of mine was I just brought him in to talk to our team. We had a coach. We always have someone start our practices that was either a pro athlete, a college coach, a high school coach. I had a high school coach talking to our kids about what it takes to succeed. And one of the kids there knew him, a kid meaning another coach. And so I said to him, did you ever play for him? He goes, I didn't. He goes, but he was around a lot when I played and I knew him. And one day I went up to him and I said, Coach Rank, this is what he said. He goes, I don't know how, what I'm doing. Kid just struck him out twice. He's like, I don't know, why I'm not seeing the ball. He says, well, what's he getting you with? He says, he's getting me with his curveball. He goes, okay, so he knows he's got you with the curveball, so you got to expect that again, right? So it's the off speeds. You're a good fastball hitter, and you're thinking fastball, and you adjust to the off speed. But now, because he got you twice with the curveball, think curveball, but adjust if the fastball's coming. And so that's what he started doing. He says, all right, I'm going to think curveball. He ends up getting a line drive and a single, and he gets his first hit because of an adjustment. For me, that's what baseball is. First of all, it is a game of failure. You have to learn to deal with failure because, it's cliche and all, everybody says it, but, you can hit 3 out of 10 and make it into the Hall of Fame. But seriously, it's a game of failure. You're going to struggle. You're going to make mistakes. You could be the best team and still lose. But you have to learn to overcome that and deal with failure. So, just in that conversation there, I think I threw out a couple things real quick. But for me, it's all about it's the mental game is greater than the physical game. The team of kids I'm coaching right now are all so talented. They're so talented, man. It's just I'm so proud of them. I love being around them, their energy, their excitement. I mean, these are kids just getting into high school, and I'm looking at them going, I wish I had one. My pinky, or I should say their pinky, has more talent than I've ever had. Their physical ability, their hitting. But what I love about them is they're so attentive and they want to learn. And we got some great people like Frankie Edgar's going to be coming in and talking to them, UFC fighter. He's going to be coming in and talking to them and sharing a little bit about what his journey to success. But there's a lot of great lessons from baseball. Listen, I think you could take anything, great lessons from rock bands, great lessons from any success in any area. I think success is transferable.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Love that. Love that.
You could write a successful book. You could do a successful podcast. You could do a successful podcast. You could run a successful business. You could run a successful business. And, because you learn the principles of success, which a lot of it is knowing that there's going to be adversity. Man, who knows better about adversity than firefighters? And think about this, Corley. I thought a lot about this lately. Think about this. We work so good under pressure. That's what we're known for. A call comes in, we get on the apparatus, we go, and we know we got a certain amount of time to get the job done. Okay. So, and it may be, hey, we have 45 minutes to get this job done. Otherwise, this is getting away from us, or less. Could be 15 minutes, depending on the type of incident we're talking about.
Sure.
But we have this small amount of time to get something done. So we work great under pressure. But how many times has something needed to get done at your firehouse for 6 months and no one's done it? Like we got new equipment sitting on the floor and it's been sitting on the floor for months. We got to put it on the apparatus. Well, we are eventually, but we have to log it. We have to put it into the computer system. We got to tag it. We got to do this. We got to train on it. Well, but are we going to? Well, let's treat that like it's an incident. Add some urgency to it. Urgency is the key to success. I mean, if you don't put urgency behind your actions, that's why, again, about writing a book, put a deadline on when you want to be finished with writing your book, even if you miss it. Put the deadline on it. Wouldn't you agree with me that you accomplish more the week before you go on vacation than any other week of the year?
Oh yeah.
Right?
The urgency is there. Yeah.
Urgency. I don't want to go on vacation and think about the stuff I still need to get done. I want to get it done. That's why I make checklists every day. And it may be 2 things, it may be 20. Rarely is it 20. It's usually between 2 and 7 things that I need to do today. And there's no better feeling than checking things off that list. No better feeling. But if I didn't do that, I don't feel like I'm working efficiently and I don't feel like I'm accomplishing things. But it's the same thing if you're running a fire station. Okay, what needs to get done today? Come to work with a plan and check things off as you do it. It's better than just sitting there, because here's the truth. Too much downtime without direction will result in drama and unnecessary drama. Because, we're sitting around a table with no goals. Drama is an indication that your team's not connected and focused and driven and committed to a goal.
No, it's not a doubt. I love when the origin of drama is that too much downtime with no direction, man. Oh, I love it. Okay, I haven't even got to a topic from the 35. I was going to pick some out. What I want to ask you is, out of the 35 for firefighters must know. Yeah. Do you have a favorite, your personal favorite for whatever reason?
I don't know. I don't think I have a personal favorite on there. I can tell you a few of them. One of them that I think means a lot to me personally is the concept of ownership mentality. I've been listening about and hearing and talking about ownership mentality before the Extreme Ownership book came out. When that came out, it took it to the next level. But for me, ownership mentality is it's the opposite of entitlement mentality. I'm not a fan of a few things. I'm not a fan of cancel culture. I'm not a fan of entitlement mentality. I'm not a fan of those things because I don't necessarily want life to be difficult for my children, but I don't want it to be easy. I want them to know that if they put the time and the effort in, there's great rewards at the end. I want them to know the work ethic can get you there. But that is ownership mentality. In my mind, and this is the God's honest truth, in my mind, every single day I put on my uniform, I acted as if I owned my fire department. This is my fire department. It's my business. I own it. So every time I interacted with people, my goal was to say, I wanted to have great customer relations. I wanted people to say, man, those firefighters are awesome. They're nice people. They're great people. Because, if they think you're great and you're the one wearing a uniform, they're going to think the department's great.
Yes.
So I put that on myself. That wasn't anything anybody told me to do. But it was the truth. Every single day for me, it was, I own this department. But there was also firefighters I worked with that had the same mentality about the equipment. Like they own the equipment, they treated it like they paid for it out with their own money. And I loved that aspect of it, but we all own our actions, and Seattle in one of the training buildings out in Seattle Fire Department. I remember I went out there to teach years ago, and there were every sink, right in front of each sink in the bathroom was a sign that said, you are 100% responsible for this person's actions.
Nice.
And you're looking at yourself when you're washing your hands. And I think that's it. That's ownership mentality right there. Own it, man. And if you make a mistake, own it. You're human. You do something great. Awesome. I'm happy. I'm proud. I'll tell you this, don't ever believe your own press. You're never as good as people think you are, but you'll never be as bad as people say you might be too. But own it. It's a great way to go about, in my opinion, about leading a team is with that philosophy of there's things I can't control as to how this department runs. We're going to focus on what we can, and we're going to be. And you don't need permission from anybody to be the best engine company in the world. You don't need permission from anybody. You just need 4 or 5 firefighters that want to make that happen.
Mm.
But then you go out and you train on that. And it's so easy to say, you know what, it's not important to me. I'm getting paid whether I'm here or not. Not that you're actually saying that, but the mentality, that complacency sets in, right?
Yes.
It's easy. It's easy, but that's average that we were talking about earlier. I'm okay with a C. I'm not okay with a C. I'm okay if I get a C, if I tried my hardest to get an A and I couldn't, but I'm not okay with shooting for the C.
Right on.
All right.
Right on. I'm trying to figure out one I want to ask you about. I do want to talk about the 3 U's just briefly because,
I love the 3 U's.
dude, the
Love
3 U's I think is one of the most powerful leadership tools that you can have in your toolbox. Plain and simple, man. You can figure out how to fix any failed expectation that you have. You can figure out why.
Yes.
I always wanted to ask, we've had this conversation when you came to Oklahoma. It's like, where did you learn it from? Because I teach it. I teach it all the time, and I give you credit because I learned it from you. But where did you learn it from?
I don't really know the first time. Matter of fact, the first time when I wrote about the 3 U's in a book, I called Anthony Avila up, and I said to him, "Hey, I wrote about the 3 U's. I want to give proper credit, and I think I learned this in one of your classes. So is that yours?" He goes, "Oh no, that's not mine." And he mentioned somebody else. So I called that chief. And I spoke to him. He goes, "No, that's not mine. I got it from," and it came, nobody could actually tell me the origin of it. I probably, if I did enough research, I'd probably find the original origin of the 3 U's. But what I can tell you is the 3 U's, I never researched thoroughly to where I said, now if anybody's ever written about it before, I haven't read what they've written about it. Let's put it that way. But I do know that other people have spoken about it. I can tell you what it meant to me. The 3 U's is unaware, unable, or unwilling.
Right on.
In our context, if a firefighter is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's usually because they're unaware of what they're doing, that they're not doing the right activity, they're unable to do the right activity, or they're unwilling. Unaware, we could fix with a conversation. "Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that." Okay, now you know. And once you tell somebody, by the way, "Hey, this is why we do it this way and not the way that you're currently doing." Okay, now they're aware. By the way, now unaware is off the table. If they're still not doing their job properly, now it's because they're either unable or unwilling.
Really.
If they're unable, well, that could just be a training issue. We just need to put more time, more training in. We spoke about a curveball earlier. A new pitcher doesn't just throw a curveball the first time they say, "I want to throw a curveball." They have to learn how to throw the curveball. It's the same thing with anything else. Maybe they need time, maybe they need training. The real problem is when someone's unwilling, because unwilling is boldly resisting authority, having a defiant attitude, and that's insubordination. And insubordination has cost more firefighters jobs than anything else. What insubordination is basically being disobedient to authority. Insubordination is basically you saying, "Okay, I know that it's a written or a verbal order, but I'm choosing not to follow it." That's unacceptable, right? And that's where my buddy in the Army says, "You don't work for the firefighters." If somebody says, "I don't want to follow that policy," you as a chief officer or a captain aren't going to say, "Okay, I understand." Then you don't have to follow it. Oh, it's unacceptable. That's insubordination. The policy's there. We've spoken about this. In the absence of rules, people make their own, right? And I've always looked at it like it's your playbook. This is your playbook. So follow your plays. Now, that being said, I also know that technology changes, staffing levels changes, philosophies change, so sometimes we need to adjust those plays.
Sure.
And make changes as well. But taking that out of the thing, the one thing I was really proud about with my group is they were very disciplined with following the rules. Here's how easy it is being a firefighter in most departments. We have a book on our watch desk at every station. On the book, you open it up and it tells you what to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You just open to the day, go to that page, and these are all the things you have to do on Monday. It could not get more simple than that. But how many times do I hear chiefs or officers say, I got to tell them to do everything. I have to call them up and say, hey, it's Wednesday. Did you do ladders, or did you do the brass, or did you do the rope? I never had to do that with my group. They just opened up the book and did it. And if it was 3 days before a storm, do you know what they did? They opened up the SOP manual, and they looked at the guideline for storms. And we have it on our policy. It tells you what to do 3 days, 2 days, and the day of the storm. So if you're working 3 days before a storm, and we know we're going to get heavy snow, we're expecting 2 feet of snow. Guess what? We got a massive storm coming. Well, 3 days before the storm, we got to make sure the generators are working and fueled up. We got to go get rock salt. We got to get the shovels. We got to get the chains. We got to get all these things ready. So the day of the storm, they're not running around saying, we got to get all this stuff. No, that's 2 days before the storm. And then the day before the storm, then the day of the storm. So that's what I was really proud of, specifically with the officers and the firefighters on that group. It wasn't me, it was them. They just opened it up. They said, let's do our job. And they didn't have to be told to do it. And every now and then we had to have conversations about one thing or another. But for the most part, that's the simplicity of the job. Now then, of course, you have the incidents. And when the incidents, that's when the things happen where, hey, we don't know if, like we didn't anticipate this ever happening in our, all right, well, that's where, you better be good at solving the small problems, because if you're not, the big ones are really going to knock you on your ass.
Yes. Now on the 3 U's, this is the majority. I'm not, but basically, do you feel like the majority of the problems are handled with the unaware and unable?
I do. Yeah. Matter of fact, I remember one captain said to me very near the end of both our careers, before retirement. I remember him coming up to me. He said, the 3 U's have been so awesome. He goes, you have no idea how many times somebody was not doing their job. And, we dealt with it by me explaining, you're aware of what you need to do. You're capable of doing it. You're choosing not to. And that's insubordination. Do you really want to go down that path? And how many times we resolved issues I never had to bring to you because of that one conversation. I go, well, that's perfect. I had a town attorney one time, not from my town. I was teaching a class, and I said, a couple hundred firefighters in there, and I said, your town attorney's not your friend. And everybody laughed because the town attorney was in the room.
Yeah.
And I said, sorry, buddy. He goes, no. He comes up to me afterwards. He goes, hey, what you said. I said, I'm sorry. I said, no. What you said was right. He goes, because here's the thing. He goes, and you can explain this to people this way so they understand. We receive things in writing. Like you will write somebody will have to write a report on why they're unwilling to do their job, or someone will write a report on why somebody is unwilling to do their job. Either way, that report goes up the chain of command. When a report goes up the chain of command, it goes past the lieutenant, the captain, the battalion chief, the deputy chief, the chief, and it goes beyond many times, and it's going to end up right on the attorney's desk. The attorney looks at this, and this is how he described it to me. The town attorney is like a dentist, and you just came to him with because you got pain in your mouth, okay? And when he looks in there, he doesn't look in there and say, yeah, you have a cavity. That's what's causing a pain. Why don't you just go take a few weeks, see how it feels, come back if it still hurts? No. He's going to fix the cavity right then and there.
Right there.
So the town attorney will take this, and what he's going to do, or she's going to do, is they're going to do some research, and they may call around and they'll say, hey, you know what? In Oklahoma City, this same thing happened. And when this happened, officer was demoted and a firefighter was let go. So I might recommend we take that same action. And they're not taking into consideration your record, or they'll let the chief do that. Chief, this is my recommendation.
Sure.
And now the chief has a decision to make. Okay, so the town attorney just recommended I fire this person. Uh-oh. Here's the problem. Now we don't know what's coming down. We know what we sent up. We don't know what's coming down. So what I tell firefighters is this. Don't put yourself in a situation where you have to send unwilling up the chain of command. Because what might come down is something you might not like. Which is, listen, let's put it this way. There's a 4th U, unsuitable.
Oh,
this person's unsuitable for the job might be what comes back down.
Wow.
And that's what we don't want.
Right. No, I love that. I love the 4th U.
Yeah, well, that's a dangerous one.
No doubt. No doubt about it. Um, Man, I'm going to ask you one more here. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to throw at you. Again, I can't wait for this book to come out because all the topics are phenomenal.
Thank you.
I'll go with the stay physically and mentally fit, because physically fit, I think that's a given, especially people who listen to the scrap. I think that's a mantra. But
Yeah.
I love the fact that you paired it with stay physically and mentally fit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, here's the thing. I mean, I think they're connected, you
Oh yeah.
know? I think they're connected. I mean, that's number 19 in the book right now. And you have to think about this
Yes.
like this is a very demanding profession. Okay. And we have to perform under very extreme conditions at the same time. So I think we're pretty good ultimately. We talk a lot about fitness. I think firefighters, you can't say everybody, you can't generalize like that, but in the firefighting community, I think there is talk and there is focus on fitness from, like you said, from the physical standpoint. There has to be. You're going from 0 to 100 miles an hour with 60 pounds of gear, or fire strike anytime during the day and night, and all of a sudden, like you gotta go.
Yes.
Okay, so we know that we have to be physically fit. But now let's think about this: the whole mental aspect of it. Um, if you're stress is kind of like a carbon monoxide detector, right? A little bit of stress will activate an alarm, or a little bit of carbon monoxide, or a lot introduced suddenly, but a little bit over a period of time or a lot. Well, stress kind of works the same way, right? And when you're dealing with things like stress, uh, now, if I have things happening in my life, I have maybe financial issues, and I have, a sick family member, and I got all these things on my mind, and then all of a sudden I have an incident, and now I don't know I'm dealing with post traumatic stress disorder, but those kind of symptoms are surfacing right there, and then I'm not getting enough sleep, and I'm not really eating that well, and all this stuff happens, and then what happens is I show up at a scene, one of these high pressure situations where I have to make quick decisions, and I'm not thinking right because I got other things on my mind. Well, what happens is flawed thinking. And I don't, we're not using technical terms here, but you're going to have flawed thinking. You know, Mental fitness enhances cognitive functions, right? Such as critical thinking, problem solving, enhancing situational awareness. Yeah, when we're in good shape mentally, we can make better decisions. When we're in bad shape mentally, because we're not taking care of ourselves the right way, we're not seeking the proper help. We're not, listen, it's okay to not be okay, right? It's okay. I've dealt with stress. I'm
Yes.
going to hear for anybody on this podcast. I want you to know I dealt with stress. I dealt with anxiety. I had panic attacks growing up. I had very dark thoughts growing up. I was not mentally healthy all the time. And it was only because I was stuck in my own head being an overthinker, and it was just negative, 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 negative. Okay, now let me tell you a solution. Imagine you have a glass of water, and the glass of water is a very dirty glass of water. It looks like iced tea dirty glass of water. It's got that much dirt in it. It looks like iced tea. And you're really thirsty, but you can't drink that water, because if you do drink that water, you're going to get sick. Okay? But what if you're given a challenge? Okay, this is the glass you need to drink water from, and you cannot pour this water out, but this is the glass you need to drink water from. Okay, what's the solution? Well, here's something. I can't pour the water out. But what I could do is I could take that glass of water, I could put it under a running faucet and let clean water pour in. And eventually that clean water is going to push the dirty water out. And in a matter of time, and it could only take a couple minutes, the clean water displaces the dirty water. Now I have a fresh, clean bottle of water or glass of water to drink. That's how the brain works. You could have all the wrong stuff going in, I've been there, all the wrong stuff going in that can lead to addiction. It could lead to dark thoughts. It could lead to you just feeling like you're not worthy. And what you need to do is feed it with positive. Listen to a podcast, read a good book, put on great music when you're driving, and just start, sometimes just turn it off, turn everything off.
Right on.
And just be with yourself, man, and center yourself. And I've never meditated in a sense that you would think, sitting there, the way that you picture meditation. But I do meditate in a sense to where I'll just turn everything off. I'll lay down and I'll start just thinking about the positive in life, about what's happening that's right. And I'm not always a person that walks around positive. My wife will tell you that. Okay. Sometimes my wife will tell you, what is wrong with you? And the other day I even said to her, I said, I'm sorry. I said, you know what? I have something on my mind right now. And it's been weighing on me. And I should just talk to you about it rather than jump all over you because, sometimes, but then I hear Jordan Peterson say something that was great. He goes, if you see like the worst part of your spouse, sometimes that is, and I'll paraphrase, sometimes
Sure.
that's really proof that your spouse loves you because you don't show the worst of you
Yeah.
to everybody. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
Like you don't
Absolutely.
expose that part of you unless you really are comfortable enough with somebody to know that they can see that part of you.
No, it's powerful.
Yeah, it is powerful. So, but listen, I've been there before where I came home from here's what happened. I came home from a shift. I sat down. I think I've told this story, maybe even on your podcast. I don't know, but I sat down in my recliner. My son was young. I don't remember how old he was. But as soon as I sat down, gave him a hug. Good to see you. He's young enough where he's just playing with toys on the ground, right?
Okay.
I sit down in a recliner. I kick back, turn on the TV, and he says, "Daddy, play with me." I said, "Not right now. I'll play with you in a little bit." And that's when I kicked back, and he goes, "No, Daddy, play with me now." I said, "I'm just going to sit for a little bit." He goes, "Don't sit, Daddy. When you sit, you don't get back up." It hurt. When he said that, it hurt me because he was right.
Mm.
Now, I just came home from a 24-hour shift, but it wasn't that. It was just me being lazy. But so immediately I got up and I just played with him. Yeah, I was tired. I was a little worn down. I was mentally fatigued, but I just played with him. But then I realized, you know what? I'm letting my health go a little bit. The very next day I go to work. I walk into work and there's a firefighter working on my shift. He wasn't normally on my shift. His name is Kevin Becker. He's walking stairs. Okay, he's going up. And he's in shorts. He's walking up and then he turns around and walks down. By the time I got from my car to the bottom of the stairs, he's going up a second time, walking back down. I realized he's doing stairs. So I said to him, "How many do you do?" And I don't remember the number. I think it was something like 50. I said, "Really?" I said, "You mind if I do some with you?" He goes, "No, that'd be great, Chief." I go up, I throw shorts on, and I walk a couple stairs. I probably did about 20 and said, "Oh my God, this is harder than I thought." Then I started doing stairs every single shift. Now, every shift I would come in and there would be that usually about 7, 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, all right, I could work a few stairs right now. I put on my shorts. I remember one day I did 110. 19 steps up, 19 steps down. But I also remember one day where 5 of us on my shift were doing stairs together. We're just walking up and down together because it became something that was kind of, one was doing it. What are you doing that for? Hey, I'm going to do some of them. And next thing I know, the most unhealthy one of all of us was like, "Hey, I'm in."
I'll do some stairs.
Right. And then 3 months later, he was the only one still doing it,
Nice.
But the point is, one habit can lead to another habit, could lead to another habit. And all of a sudden, you're eating a little bit better, you're working out a little bit more, you're adding to that, but that's what happens when we don't take care of our mental and our physical health. The reason I combine them in that one chapter, I could easily said,
Yeah.
mental health in one, physical health in the other. Reason I combine them is because I do think they're connected.
Oh yeah. I love it.
know?
I love it. That's why I wanted to ask about it. And we could sit here for another 2 hours and go through them. But I'm going to move it towards, I love asking this question every time. This will be the third time I've asked you, but book or books that you think firefighters should be reading. Doesn't have to be a firefighter book, but what's a book that's impacted your life that you think firefighters should read?
Okay. Okay. The Magic of Thinking Big was the first book I read that made an impact on my life personally.
The Magic of Thinking Big.
The Magic of Thinking Big. That one was great. Also, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I thought that was
Carnegie.
fantastic. Yep, Carnegie. Anything
Yeah.
by Carnegie. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Carnegie. That changed my life. Chapter 1, Live in Day Tight Compartments. That's all I had to read. I don't think I ever read past chapter 1. Live in day tight compartments. Focus on this day. He said most people worry about things that'll never happen. Focus on this moment and this day that you're in right now. So that was an impactful book.
Now, what was the how to quit worrying and
How to Stop Worrying and Start Living.
stop worrying, start. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a good one. Some It's Your Ship. I've mentioned that before. That was my. I've often said if I ever read It's Your Ship, if I read that before I wrote Step Up and Lead, I might not have written Step Up and Lead, because I wrote Step Up and Lead because I'm like, hey, this is a message, people. I really need it to be out there. And then I read that and I'm like, that's what I was trying to say. That's
Yeah.
it right there. That's what I was trying to say. I just felt he said it better. That's good. I got a couple books right here, actually. I'm reading. Okay, here's a few. Check this out. Fans First by Jesse Cole. Okay. And you may say, well, why do I want to read about fans? Man, this is a great, first of all, Jesse Cole, who started
That's the banana. Yeah. Yeah. Havana Bananas. Yeah.
So I'm reading the book, right? I just came back from a Savannah Bananas show, and he just talks about providing great service. Fans First. I'm coming back from I just came back from catching their thing at, in Philadelphia. I brought my kids, and but my very next flight, I'm going to Canada. And who's sitting in my row? Jesse Cole, the owner of Savannah Bananas. I'm looking at him going, it can't be him, but the guy's wearing yellow. Who wears yellow, right? So I'm like, it's got to be him. And then I look at his bag and it says Jesse. I go, Jesse Cole? He goes, yeah. I said, I'm reading your book. I'm a big fan. I shook his hand, took a photo. I was the fanboy, man. I like literally, people are walking through the aisle. I'm like, we got to take a picture, So I'm taking a picture with him, throws his hat on, had a great conversation with him. Fans First is a great book. My buddy, James Gearing.
Oh, yeah.
So let me tell you something, James. I'm going to plug James right now. James is one of the best writers I know. I can't write like him. I wish I could. He's phenomenal. But I got it. Yeah. Oh, you got it. Okay. So here's what I told. I actually he just wrote something nice about my book. I asked him to give me some insight, and he wrote it really nice. Did you have him on your podcast?
Just you're following. He was one of the first ones of the year.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
So check it out. So let me tell you, this is what I told him about this book. I said, I'd love to tell you that I finished it, but I didn't, because I stopped actually on page 58, because it's bringing back some old demons.
Dude, I'm telling you, when I hit chapter 4, yeah.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's at chapter 6. Yeah, chapter 4 was the one.
Yeah.
It hit me. And I was at my son's practice that I don't coach, and I'm just reading there, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, this is hard. This is hard. So I had to kind of pace myself, and that's where I'm at. But I love this guy. I love the guy. First of all, James is one of the fire service is better because of James Gearing.
And he's on a mission, man. There's no doubt about it.
Exactly, man. And here's one I just picked up. I didn't start it, so I can't tell you it is great yet. But I love, that this chapter summaries and all, No Substitute for Victory. And this is Lessons in Strategy and Leadership from General Douglas MacArthur.
Okay.
And the reason I picked that up is in that book I've been working on for 3 years. I have a section that, it's a chapter that takes place at West Point Academy, which I've been at a few times. And I feature some content from MacArthur. And then my wife got me this. She knew I was writing about it. She got me this for Christmas, actually. And I'm like, I can't wait to dive into it.
That is awesome, brother. Yeah. No, I love it, man. Great list. Amazing list. Which takes us to the 5 questions for firefighters. You've done these before, but you've never done this version.
Okay.
So, Frank Viscuso, are you ready for the 5 questions for firefighters version 4.0?
I think I'm ready. Yeah.
Right.
Is there a test after this? Because I don't.
There are no right answers. There are only your opinions. And then the points are passed out arbitrarily by me with the help of the audience. So here we go. Question number 1. You are the probie once more, and you have to cook the meal for the entire firehouse. What is your go-to meal?
I think I might have answered this from you once before, but I got to tell you, man, I'm an Italian. I'm an Italian from northern New Jersey. It's chicken parm. That's it, brother. it's chicken parm, which is a stretch for me because early on, my go-to, unfortunately, was grilled chicken sandwiches because I was a terrible cook. Ironically, the guy that I spoke to today, I'm going to plug him right now. Maybe he's even listening, Jerry Capola, right? I spoke to my buddy, Jerry Capola. He was an awesome cook. And the problem was I had him. I had a guy named Jack Pettigrew on my group, and I spoke to him yesterday. These guys were so good. It's hard to cook when you are surrounded by great cooks,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
when they were working on the station that I was working at, it's like I don't even want to attempt to cook. Chicken parm it is for me though, man. We're going Italian. Northern New Jersey chicken parm, right? Not the stuff you get in Florida and Oklahoma and all these other places.
Okay, well, I'm coming up to get a plate of chicken parm, Northern New Jersey style.
Good
So,
deal.
and Rob Fisher said it better be Italian, and then he said yes with a couple
And
exclamation
Rob
points.
is my man. Yeah, spaghetti and meatballs would have been next, but
Rob gave you max points, and Joshua Weiss agreed with max points or Weiss. Absolutely max points on question number 1, which takes us to question number 2. It is Jobtown. It is time. You are en route and responding. Of course, the scene from Backdraft where he's slapping that tape into that cassette deck. What song are you playing while en route to job?
see, I thought you were going to say what do you say to your crew? It's a barbecue, boys, right? Now, this is it, man. There's a song that means a lot to me personally, and the song is "Hell's Bells" by AC/DC, and I want to explain why. I wrestled from the age of 7 till I graduated high school, and when I was in high school, the song we always came out to when it was a home match, the lights would dim, and we'd be out. We were not. We're in the locker room still, standing at the door. We're waiting, and the intro to Hell's Bells starts. And it's not till the drums and the music kicks in that we run out and we run into a circle and we do our warm up. And that has always pumped me up. Several years later, here we were one day, 4 of us are on the engine, and we're actually driving just through town, and we pull up to a stoplight, and we realized that all 4 of us wrestled in high school together. It's like, yeah, we were all, and we knew we all wrestled together. But the point is, we weren't thinking about that.
Right.
But right across the street from us, pulled up a stoplight, is our wrestling coach. Okay. And so, driver pulls on the air horn, and he looks and he sees the driver and he waves. And then I wave. I'm in the captain's seat, and he looks at me and he waves. And then the guy sticks his head out the back and he's looking at him. And then he sees the 4th firefighter. He realizes like his varsity wrestling team from 1986 is on the apparatus. And what was great about that was the look on his face. But that song just brings that back. It gets me pumped up to want to go to war. So
Fair.
that's why that's my song.
Oh, great answer. Dana Larkin said max points with the triple X because that is a dirty good answer.
Thank you.
No, absolutely, brother. 2 for 2, max points. Number 3, whose boots, past, present, or future, would you like to spend 24 hours in?
I love that question.
I don't know if I love it yet or not. This is very early, so you're like the 4th person to ever answer it. So
no, I love the question, but I'm going to give you the only answer. I can't even think of another person except this one. That's why I know it's the right answer, but it's my father.
Ooh.
I can't. I'm at my father's house right now. My parents. This is my parents. That's why Viscuso's on the wall. My nieces gave my parents, and my nephews gave my parents the name made out of all pictures of our family.
That's awesome.
And I'm here because they're up north. This is their a vacation house of theirs. But can you imagine what it would be like to be in your own father's shoes? My dad served in the Navy. He's a CB. He said he was a CB, but the truth is, he was stationed in Nantucket, Bermuda, and Barbados. I think he was on vacation. Okay. But yeah, he was a CB. I mean, he lived a tremendous life. I still have him. I'm so grateful for what he is to me, but how great would it be to be able to, to be able to see life through his eyes. What this scene means a lot to me. I think any father out there can probably understand this, even if you never played baseball. The scene at the end of
Field of
Field
I
of
know.
Dreams.
Yeah, you're saying Field of Dreams. I know it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, so I met that guy that plays his father, and the want to have a catch.
Have
Dad,
a
you want to
catch.
have a
Yeah,
catch?
you can have a catch.
That scene right there, I think is just like for me, I think it's the most powerful movie scene ever. And there's a handful of them, but that scene right there means a lot to me. And so I can't think of anybody else I would say, you know.
That's a beautiful answer. Easy max points. They said heck of an answer. Love it. Yeah, absolutely. 3 for 3, max points. Number 4, you're retired. I don't know if you can imagine that, but you're retired. You're sitting on the beach enjoying Mai Tais. What do you want to hear through the grapevine, through the firefighter grapevine, that the people you used to work with that are still on the job, how do you want to hear that they describe you to the new hire?
He cared about us.
Hmm.
He cared about us. He knew that we cared about the community, and he cared about us in a way that showed us the right way to care about the community. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
like by example, that's what I would hope they would say about me, because I do, man. I cared about them.
It was beautiful. One of my favorite slides of yours is the one that, it's step up and lead slide. And it said, the key to I want to say the key to morale. And it just is the giant word care.
Care. Yeah,
Care.
man.
Yeah.
Care. Listen, it's the lifeblood of your organization. It's the lifeblood of, it's the foundation of success as a team, man. Care about your teammates. And people sometimes will, I guess, maybe not get the right message. Oh, care, like you want everybody to like you. Well, first of all, when you hear somebody say, I don't care what people think about me, I do care what people think about me.
Mm.
Do I want people to like me? Yes, I do. But do they all like me? Absolutely not. No, you're not going to like me if I push you to go to places you don't want to go to. But you're going to respect that. When you get there, you're going to turn around and go, man, that guy, he did it right. He did it right. And that's all you can ask for, man. Yeah. Listen, there's going to be a retirement party for everyone else. Everyone that's listening to this, there's going to be a retirement party for every one of us when you're gone. Hopefully you're invited to it. Right.
Right.
But what happens is, you'll hear stuff, like here's what happened. I had 2 people came up to my wife at my retirement party. And these are the 2 conversations I remember vividly. Is one came up, and it was one of the female firefighters on my group. And she said, I love your husband, what he did for me, because he treated me. And she basically said, this is not, a place where a lot of females feel comfortable.
Sure.
Unless they're, in organizations where they don't have many. And she goes, but he treated me like I was one of the guys from the first moment I stepped in. And that meant a lot to me. And the other one said this. He said, can I play something for you? And my wife said, yeah. And he takes the phone and he puts it to her ear, and she's listening. And she goes, wow. And he goes, yeah, I listen to that once a week. And they said a few words, and I said to my wife, I go, what did he play you? She goes, it was a message from you. I said, what am I saying on it? She goes, I really didn't understand much of what you were talking about, but it was something about being a driver. And I immediately knew what she was talking about.
Mm.
We were training him to be a pump operator. Like being a chauffeur is not a promotion on our job. It's like you drive when the officer says, yeah, this firefighter's ready to go into driver rotation. Like they're ready, So, I mean, we have some standards and
Sure.
But it's not considered a promotion. And he was one we needed to get there relatively quickly. And I remember we were working towards it. And when he had his first job, his captain called. I wasn't on duty that day, but his captain called me and said he did great. And he really praised him. He's like, you'd be so proud of him. I said, I am. So I called him up. He didn't pick up the phone, but I left a message. I said, I just heard you had your first job. I'm really proud of you. Had no doubt in you. Because of the work ethic you put into it. And if you keep putting the type of work that you put into driving to becoming a firefighter that, we all know you're capable of becoming, one day you're going to be an officer and you're going to be a great officer. And that message was the one he listened to, often. And I didn't even know that because that was 2 years earlier. But that's the stuff right there that I hope people can experience that.
I love it, man. Easy max points. You got max points. You got it from everybody.
Wait. This is the fourth question.
Yeah, 4 for 4.
Wait, so how many are there? 5?
5.
Yeah, I want you to know, I actually feel pressure right now. If I got max points on 4, now I feel pressure for the 5th one. Can we stop here or do we? No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Number 5. And you've had it before because this question never changes. So sometimes the answer changes. So that's why I keep asking. Heavy fire and searchable space. Would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on VES?
This is not fair because what's going to happen is the ladder company people are not going to give me max points if I say this. The engine company people won't give me max points if I say that. This is a trick question.
No right answer, just your opinion.
Would rather, all right, then I just want to be the incident commander. No, I would, okay, listen, I've spent way more time being on an engine company. I know my original answer was I want to be there, but right now I'm gonna call an audible. Vent enter search. Okay, I'd love to be right there, and I could actually think of the firefighters that I'd want to be there with.
Ooh, nice.
You know, just because, hey, you know what, man? It's almost like saying, like I've been playing second base for most of my career. I want to try third. That's what it is.
Just to keep the baseball analogies rolling.
Right.
I love it. And Rob Fisher said, "You're Italian, Frank. You are a truck guy." And then he said with all caps, "Yes," when you said that. So,
well, you know, listen, like I told you this last weekend, you know, we know why we open up holes in roofs, right? It's to look down into the building and see what real firefighters look like when they're working. Oh, I just lost half the audience right there. Come on, have fun.
All of Rob's love just went away. He just took away his max points. That officially makes it 5 for 5. No pressure at all. 5 for 5 max points, easy max points, killer answers, and a killer scrap. Did we even get to 3 topics? I don't think we did.
I don't know that we did.
Sam says we hit 2. So there you go, man. Dude, you absolutely crushed it. Great questions from the audience.
It was fun, man. I love it.
Officially 283 scraps in the books. Frank Viscuso, thank you for sharing your evening with us, but what's the best way to get a hold of you, book a class, find your books, etc.?
It's pretty easy. I mean, my website's my name, frankviscuso.com, commonvalor.com brings you to the same one. Or you could look me up on almost all the social media platforms, which is mostly my name. Frank Viscuso on Instagram. You could go to Step Up and Lead or Frank Viscuso on Facebook. But just check out my, if you go to my website, my cell phone number and my email are right there. You know, it's frank@commonvalor.com. So, reach out to me.
And book a class because you will not regret it. You will not regret it. I just got, I can sit there and talk about it for a while, but amazing. I'm asking at the end of each scrap for a challenge. It's called the Scrap Challenge, and it was invented by the vigilantes, but it's one of the best parts of being a vigilante is you get to affect the direction of the scrap and what goes on here. But I like to ask the guests a challenge that you issue to the vigilantes and to all scrap listeners that they can try to accomplish before the next scrap. So what is Frank Viscuso? And I don't, this is only the 4th one. Like I said, we started them this year. So we're kind of figuring out how this works and you're helping us do so. So what's your challenge for the scrappers out there, Frank?
Well, let's go with the one we talked about earlier when we talked about setting your expectations up front. Sit down between now and the next scrap, sit down with a piece of paper, a pen, and write down expectations that you're setting for yourself and expectations you're setting for the team that you work with or that you're leading. And so that you're not just showing up without a game plan, like every day. You know, that's the one thing I'm actually a little bit, I'm concerned a little bit because finishing this book today, I'm concerned about tomorrow.
Like what's next? What's next?
Yeah. Like, what do I
do? I know that feeling completely.
Yeah. You know that feeling. Like I'm going to wake up and go, what do I do? Maybe I reread it real quick and fine tune it or just build on this momentum. But sit down and set a few expectations. Now, they could be personal expectations, personal goals. They could be professional ones. You can go in whatever direction you want. It could be financial. It could be health. It could be anything. Maybe all of it. You know, put something down for everything. I do that every year where I sit down, and it's not always the beginning of the year thing. Sometimes I just sit down. I say, even today I spoke to my best friend, who's also my financial planner. He's been my best friend for years, but he's the smartest guy I know. And I sat down and worked out a financial goal of, hey, this is how much money that I want to have at this age. Because him and I were talking, and he said, "Do you realize?" He says, if a married couple reaches the age of 65, both of them, that there's a 90% chance, or a very high percentage chance, that at least one of them is going to reach age 90. Okay. So if you stop generating income at the age of 65, you got a long life to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so, are you planning for that? Matter of fact, in the book about, the listing the 35 things every fire officer must know and do, there's a bonus section at the end of that, and I talk exactly about this, about kind of investing in your future. It's not just about investing in your people, it's also about investing in your future.
Mm.
And I don't give financial advice now. I'm not qualified to do that. I just give a push and say, get financial advice from the right people, so you can make good decisions that can help set you up for life. Because if you could take the stress, for me, the goal financially has always been this: make enough money that I don't have to stress out about never having enough money. That's the financial goal. I just,
Right on.
so
I love it. I love it.
that's it. So, when things are going well, I'm more at peace, and when things aren't going well, and there's more month than there is money, that's when I've been stressed out in the past,
Sure. Sure.
so hopefully that helps somebody.
No, absolutely. I love the challenge. I love the challenge. Something they can do between now and the next scrap. Go and write your expectations for yourself and the team you're responsible for. So
Yep.
there it is from Frank. And that will be added to the scrap challenges. There is a list that's going on. And the final thing I'll bother you with, Frank, is guest suggestions. I just started doing this, but asking my guests, who is someone that needs to be on the scrap? It could be someone that's been on before, coming back, but I'm always trying to grow the network and meet and greet new people, or people I don't know about.
Yeah. Well, okay. Have you ever had PJ Norwood on your scrap?
I have not. I have not.
PJ Norwood, I spoke to him today.
Okay.
See, isn't this interesting? Like, all the people I mentioned that I spoke to today, they call. PJ was a guy just came to my mind. I said, let me call him and chat with him. And man, he is a true brother. I had a conversation with my kids today about friends. I said, you don't have to have 60 friends. I said, I'm over the age of 50 and I don't have 60 friends. I said, but what I do have is 5 or 6 really good ones. And I have a bunch of friends, but I'm talking about like those real great,
Oh yeah.
like, the friends you could say, we need to bury a body, and they'll say, okay, just tell me who's driving. Those friends, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
But all right, that was an Italian analogy I probably shouldn't have used, but I think you know where I'm going. Okay, the point is this. I told him, you're looking for those ones, the true friendships, and he's just one of them. He's one of them. PJ Norwood is a solid guy. I'd get him on. Dr. Dennis O'Neill, Reggie Freeman. I don't know if you have had any of them. Nick Papa, Dave Casey. I could. You probably had Mike Dugan, Mike Galliano, Anthony Castros.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Frank Ritchie, Avillo. These are all the guys I'm talking about. Of course, Paul Combs. Great Paul. Have you had Paul on?
Paul's been on. I need to have Paul back on, especially with
gosh.
just finishing the Book of Search cover. And yeah, well, absolutely. Paul's one of my favorite people, man. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean,
he has been very busy with his studio opening and everything, because I have reached out a few times, but he's had a lot on his plate.
I'll give you a couple more. Jimmy Silvernail and Jason Hovelman. 2 guys out. Yeah, I'm telling you what, man. These guys, they're solid dudes.
Hovelman's one of my favorite people. I put Hovelman in a very elite category that like my current company is. Rob Fisher is in. I actually love the man. I don't know if he knows how much I love him.
Well, he knows I feel the same way about him. I was just out in his area and was able to have dinner with him. Man, he's the kind of guy, when I'm around him, it makes me want to be a better me. I told him that too. Like he brings the best out of me. It's the way he carries himself, you know. And Dan Shaw, Doug Mitchell, another couple guys I spoke to this last week. Dan is retired out from Fairfax County, and Doug is out in New York City, FDNY, getting close to retirement. And those two you ought to have on together, by the way. They're fantastic. They wrote 25 to Survive, reducing residential injury and line of duty deaths.
What if I could do? Yeah, I could do a mega scrap just with Dan and Doug. That would be great.
Yeah, those two are solid, man. But
I love it.
I could probably.
Dude, you just loaded me up for the year, basically.
Yeah,
I'll be
well,
good to go. I just go back and write them all down now because I didn't write them as I went.
All great dudes, man. Great.
I love it. Oh, that's phenomenal. Okay. Thank you, Frank. Amazing. Like everything I asked of you, crushed it. Housekeeping. Here we go. Go to patreon.com. The Vigilantes Discord is up and running. The Discord is amazing. It's active. It's so active. If you're looking to connect with like-minded souls, go become a vigilante. If you're not one already, it's where the cool kids hang out. So go become one. This app, one of the big yeah, there you go. There you go. One of the coolest parts of the Vigilantes is you get to go to the after party. The after party is where we get to if the guest agrees, they come and they get roasted by the Vigilantes. So that's happening right. And Frank said he's from Jersey. He said, bring it on. That's what he actually said. And yeah, everybody knows. Next week, who's coming up next week? I've got to pull up. Hold on one second. This is me as the host, not being ready to tell you who's coming up next week. Is Don Sapp coming back on. Uncle Don coming on to talk, followed by Jimmy Davis, and then Mark Davidson. Like the next 3 weeks, 2025 is kicking off in style and just continuing. So I'm excited about that. So with all that being said, enough jabbering from me. We will get to the after party. Sam will be posting the link. Thank you once again, Frank, for spending your evening with us, man. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you and enjoyed the conversation.
No, I did too, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Audience, you absolutely make the scrap magical. You guys completely, me and Frank had 35 topics to talk about. We got to 2 of them. Thank you for your wonderful questions that were absolutely amazing. And thanks again to Frank for just crushing them. Thank you for tuning in live. You don't have to do it each week, but you do, and you make the scrap magical. I can't thank you enough. I love you all. Remember, mutts don't scrap. I hope the tones stay silent unless it is burning. Everybody, stay safe out there.